Guys, I think I'm done. This tweet has 220,000 likes on the big Twitter. Now, for those who don't use Twitter, that's a lot of likes. This cast is visually boring. What the fuck does that even mean? There is no way that this platform is real. The 2005 Fantastic Four movie has been regarded as one of the worst superhero films of the 21st century for years. It was so bad that they tried rebooting the franchise again in 2013 with an attempt that was arguably worse, making them 0 for 2 on Fantastic Four movies.
Say that again?
But let me be clear, these are two objectively poor films. And don't you hit me with the fucking it's subjective shit, because nobody liked these movies before 2025. But no. Now that we have a new Fantastic Four movie, another reboot by the way, the third time they're rebooting this franchise, and it actually looks like it could be pretty good, suddenly it's time to pretend that the older movies were peak the entire time. I do not understand. All I've seen is people show this one scene where the Thing drops his wedding ring and it creates it's quite an emotional moment. And yeah, it's great. But what about the other 90 minutes of that movie? Do I need to remind people of how it ends?
Johnny, Supernova. I thought we agreed that was bad. Now!
I get it, the new film isn't out yet, but the trailer was excellent in my opinion, and it's looking like it's shaping to be a very faithful adaptation with a lot of charm, and I don't think it does anything inherently wrong or not enough to annoy anybody, so naturally everybody decides to reject it. Why? I don't know. I just don't. All I want is a good Fantastic Four movie. Is that too much to ask? Am I lame for wanting this one to be good? Or do I have to stick with the movies from my childhood because we as a society just cannot move on from them? Y'all did the same shit with Star Wars, by the way. But prequels are not good. The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones were never regarded as top tier cinema. For my entire life, that was the unanimous opinion. But suddenly, Disney starts making their own Star Wars movies, and people immediately were like, well, actually, at least the prequels weren't political. They were actually ahead of their time. Dude, I'm going to fucking lose it. Do we hear ourselves? And just to be clear, I do not like the Disney trilogy. I think Rise of the Skywalker might be the worst film that I have ever seen in cinema. But that doesn't retrospectively make the prequels good. Y'all want good Star Wars content so bad, but when we actually get it, y'all don't even show up to watch it, by the way. I think more than anything, this is just a result of social media. We have direct access to all this information and all these opinions, but we have just become so reactionary. The concept of discourse, it feels seemingly dead. I lost art to many. Something is either the worst shit ever or perfect and without criticism. There is no dialogue, there are no conversations anymore. Assassin's Creed Shadows came out to a very, very obvious hate campaign, so naturally to counterbalance all the hate the game was receiving, people resulted in calling it peak and one of the best Assassin's Creed games ever. So my timeline for a week was just Assassin's Creed Shadows is woke and bad, mixed with look at how perfect the game is, guys. And when in reality, it's neither of those things. It's got its pros, it's got its cons, and if only we could talk about that in a traditional manner without throwing insults, because everybody just has to have some sort of narrative. It's like a hive mind, and everybody has to share the same opinion, the same thoughts. Nobody is allowed to say anything remotely constructive. Assassin's Creed Shadows has flaws, real flaws, but none of them are actually being heard, because instead of hearing the actual issues of the game, I'm just seeing tweets like this. And all you can find are tweets talking about the player count and the game being woke. Okay, but what does the game actually do wrong? Maybe you could talk about the continued issues of padding out the open world in Ubisoft games, but that's too hard of a thing to do when, you had zero intention of liking the game in the first place. The video game community right now especially feels terrible. But for example, on Reddit, every single game made by a AAA developer is immediately dogshit and slop. In this house, we only accept indie games. I feel like people forget that games as a whole are an art form, it's a form of expression. So I cannot tell you how disappointed I was when I watched the Marathon reveal, which had this incredible short film showcasing the game's rather amazing artistic direction, directed by Alberto Muelgo, and I go to social media and just everyone hates the game. Everyone's saying the art style looks bland. Are you fucking kidding me? Even from a gameplay point of view, this fucking hive mind of people is just immediately calling it dead on arrival, Concord 2, mid, it's insufferable. People calling this slop cash grab? Slop cash grab? I feel like I need to remind people that Bungie have not only made one of the most innovative game franchises of all time in Halo, but followed that up with Destiny, a game that just recently celebrated its 10-year anniversary, and despite all the bullshit, still has an active community that loves and cherishes this game. A studio that is so talented at what they do that they were able to sell themselves to Sony for $3.8 billion without even making exclusive games for PlayStation, a studio that had 300 developers working on this game for the last 4 years, a project that they seem so very passionate and excited about, is slop. I give up, I can't. Let me be clear on one thing. Just because a game or a movie isn't for you does not automatically make it the worst thing ever. You are allowed to dislike something. Hell, you're allowed to dislike something popular, and I'll get crazy with it. But throwing just a baseless statements out there, it's just, I can't deal with it, to be honest. If you have something interesting to say, then say it. But to be honest, shit like this should give you prison time. I'm being for real. This video is less about the reactionary responses to announcements, but more so the current state of discourse. But this works out because the two sort of go hand in hand. And it goes both ways, by the way. I'm tired of people calling new albums the greatest album of all time 1 hour after it releases. And even if you say, yeah, I like it, I just didn't love this part. No. You'll get cut off before you can even finish the sentence, and then banished into the shadow realm. Bye bye. The Nintendo Switch 2 honestly had a great presentation. I think what they showcased was very good from a software and a hardware perspective, and it looked like a worthy successor. I don't love those prices though, you gotta fix that, Nintendo. And yeah, everybody sorta agrees with that. However, just because the price is bad, does that really take away from everything else that they showcased? I'm not defending the multi-billion-dollar company. I'm saying that the Switch 2 reveal was good, just wasn't perfect. It was not catastrophic like the internet seems to be trying to make you believe it is. Because I can guarantee you one thing, and it's that the Switch 2 is definitely not gonna struggle to sell units on release day. 16,000 likes on a tweet criticizing a TV series for showcasing how they pulled off a very technically difficult shot behind the scenes. There was nothing wrong with this video, it's genuinely just interesting. But no, apparently this is lame. I think at this point you understand where I'm coming from. I've been able to show you a number of different examples, all of which I find equally stupid, to be honest, and you're probably thinking, hey, I might be sounding very reactionary myself right now. And listen, this is 6 months of built up anger. I have been wanting to write and make this video for months, but nothing has pissed me off nearly enough to write this fucking video until today. Of course that I'm going to be emotional about this because my entire channel is built upon discourse and opinions and having dialogue, and an interesting one at that. I am fighting to keep an art form that I love alive. I understand that this is often just a bubble, and that the reality is that normal humans really don't hear any of this noise, and often it works out, so hey, why the fuck should I even care? And the reason I care is because I want to talk about this to people on the internet, and people on the internet fucking suck. I went to see The Amateur in cinema. Yeah, I was like one of the 5 people to go and watch that movie, mainly because I love Rami Malek and Mr. Robot. And with that being said, who the fuck else am I going to talk to about this film if it weren't for the internet? I don't know anybody who went to see this. I think I'm just exhausted. I feel like nobody is happy with anything these days. I do not understand what people want. I can go on, by the way. There are so many examples. I've seen just an absurd amount of harassment towards Bella Ramsey as Ellie. As I'm writing this script, season 2 hasn't even premiered yet, and I do have a lot of reservations regarding her as Ellie entering season 2, but she was excellent in season 1, so I hope she can continue to surprise me. But hey man, let's all harass this person because of their physical appearance. This isn't even because they don't look like Ellie, this is just cruel people criticizing them because they're not visually appealing enough. And to those people, I need you to understand that this is how I feel about you. If Evangelion released in 2025, would people hate it because it depicts Shinji as this tweeny, awkward, white, depressed male, while his two co-stars are women who are like far more badass than him? I don't know, I mean that's a pure hypothetical, but that's where we are today. I do not want people to stop telling the stories that they want to tell in fear of people who don't understand it immediately rejecting it. And no, I don't think this is going to happen anytime soon, as shows like Severance have blown up to see immense success for its originality, or Assassin's Creed Shadows still selling over 4 million copies, and you know what, the Fantastic Four is probably going to do really fucking well at the box office. But I need to understand why, in a world where we are seeing an emergence of AI generated content that looks absolutely garbage, with it all being based off stolen artwork. Why are we calling games like Marathon slop? Why are we instantly rejecting these projects that, whether you're a fan of the series or not, have clearly had some level of passion and love put into them to the point of not even giving them a chance? I'm tired, boss. I'm tired of this noise. I'm tired of the pessimism, the reactionary opinions, the death of discourse. I made this video purely emotionally, but I'll tell you this. I made this video out of passion and love for the industry. I want to see expectations continue to be shattered, for people to be moved, for people to have fun, for people to be proud of their work. Nothing, and I mean nothing, is immune to criticism. Nothing is perfect, and that's what makes art what it is. It creates dialogue, it creates conversation. All I'm asking is that we keep that alive and healthy.